Hi, this is Kigeni, author of The Magnificent Woman, and today I am joined by Valerie Barrow, who in my own terms is a magnificent woman. Valerie's mission has been to share some of the most ancient knowledge that has been known for thousands of years that has not really been shared in the mainstream. And she's dedicated at least 39 years of her whole life to just share this information with the world. She writes books. She's written 3 books, one of them being the Alcheringa book, where when the first ancestors were created. And also she's invited to speak in conferences where it's all about shifting paradigms or consciousness on the planet, or spiritual workshops pretty much. So I'm really honored to have Valerie here.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. So for us to understand, Valerie, what you do, I wanted us to talk about channeling. What is channeling? When you hear people saying so-and-so is a channeler or a medium,
yeah,
you know, or a clairvoyant or psychic, those are terms people hear, but it's all about channeling. What is channeling?
Well, channeling, can I speak from my own experience? Because I actually was led to that, if you like, but all the things that I was introduced to and initiated as I was coming to remember who I really was, connecting through the soul consciousness. Channeling actually is receiving messages from other worlds. And like I said, if you talk about the ancestors or the star people, they all communicate telepathically. And so to speak their messages or pass them on, they need to work through somebody that's willing to work with them, and they borrow the voice box and then they speak. Well, they speak quite often with channelers, the voice changes, they become quite different. With me, quite often it's a male sounding voice. And the thing about channeling is to the message itself. So if somebody's watching someone channeling, I would suggest that they just close their eyes, not worry about how it's happening, but what is being said. And then if it sounds good or sounds reasonable or sounds interesting or something enough to want you to find out more, then start researching it.
I gotcha.
And I've been through quite a number of, what can I say, initiations to do this. Because, for instance, with Alcheringa, he's been talking to me for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And as I said, he lives, his place of abode is uluru. And so that's a major one just at the present, because there's so much focus on uluru because of the prophecies coming from Indigenous elders.
Yes, before we delve into that, one of the things I wanted to ask, it's also the Bible was written through channeling.
I believe so, yes, you can tell.
When they say the word of God, it's like, where did it come from then?
That's exactly right.
It just needed a human scribe,
yes,
but the person would be like, the words were coming and I wrote it down.
Yes, you're quite right. And that's how it started with me also, in that, to start scribe, because I had the voice that was very, very strong, firm, dignified voice, awakened me one night, and then asked me to stand up. And so I didn't know what was going on at the time. This was in the early days. And so I stood up. I got out of bed, stood up. And then the voice said, you can get back into bed. So I got back into bed.
Yes.
And my husband's asleep beside me. Then no sooner than I settled back to sleep again, the voice said, stand up again. I didn't say again, just said stand up. So I stood up again. This was the second time. And this I'm beginning to worry and think, what's John going to think if I'm getting in and out of bed and he wakes and finds out what is going on? And I would have had to say, I have no idea. But the voice is speaking to me. So the third time I got back again, it said stand up, right? And so I stood up, and this time, blessing, it said, we want to give you messages from time to time. So please keep a pad and pencil beside your bed.
Wow.
And you will be awakened and given messages.
Yes.
Right? So I did, and then it went away. Although I did say, there's this little voice in my head, my brain, obviously, said, stand up, stand up. So anyway, it started mimicking and playing, right? And then this other voice said, stop that, Valerie, that's your silly brain, Billy brain. Well, by this time, I'm thinking, what in earth is going on? But it was true. I went on for quite some time, being awakened at night, about 4 o'clock. And that's a time that seemed to be very quiet. And they say that they can have clear messages. And it's the same as dreaming. I needed to write it straight away, or because it comes from a different layer of consciousness, I would have forgotten. So I wrote it. And of course, they were aiming for me to write books.
And what I'm getting at, because I remember a priest who was sharing his story, and he was saying how sometimes because he says God speaks to him, he'd say something like, stand up in the bus and talk to these people and say this. And he's thinking, I can do this. And at the end of it, somebody will come and say, that message was for me. It's like, there's no way I'll have known that, you know? But the reason it's like, stand up, sit down. He said it's so that whatever is talking to you knows you're hearing it. So that's why we also have to take the action, and it takes a lot of courage.
That's right.
Oh, that's really good on you. I'm so look forward to hearing more of your stories. So maybe you've had similar experiences. Feel free to write to us and just know this is the way people have always communicated.
Yes, and actually everybody is capable of so-called channeling. And in some ways they have, you know, how often has somebody said they've been helping someone and giving some advice, and they think, where does that come from? I don't remember even saying it.
Yes.
Well, that is actually channeling because it's coming from there. And the important thing is how people react. So if when you're speaking to someone and they're happy about it, that's good. If they're not, well, just apologize. But really, if you have a message or feel you have a message for someone, you need to ask if they want to hear it.
Oh, wow.
That's the universal law. That's how it operates in the star world. Always respectful of another. And because it's always telepathic, you can't just walk in and start talking. You need to ask, almost like knocking on the door of the person and asking if you may enter to have conversation, that sort of stuff.
And I like what you just said. It's like when you're having a conversation with somebody and then you feel like saying something to them. But the one most people have also experienced, and I'm sure you may have as well, is I don't know if you ever had a disagreement with somebody or an argument and you don't know where the words come from, and you say something back that they completely shut up. Like it hits them so much and they just don't have anything back for you.
No.
You channeled, you just didn't know you channeled. All right. I'm so looking forward to the rest of the see you in the next video.
I think you have to be a bit careful of that one.
It just channeled.
Yes, that's true.
All right.